Hey everybody, welcome back to the Spin Rack. I'm here with the boys, PD and Cal. Say what's up, guys?
What's going on? Ready to rock?
Yo.
Man, I gotta tell you the stories. There's news, there's news, there's news. As they say in French, nouvelle, nouvelle, nouvelle. Hey, Black Widow, aka Scarlett Johansson, or the other way around. She's suing Disney to say that she was supposed to get a larger share of the profits off of her Black Widow movie. Because what was supposed to happen is most actors get, not most actors, big name actors like her get a percentage of the box office, you know, the back end, whatever happens. So they make a lot of their money that way, as opposed to just straight up salary. She did get a salary, which was revealed, and we'll talk about that too. And she said that they went to Disney and they said, hey, you know, since this is not only coming out in movies, if it's not going to come out in the theater, then we need to rearrange our deal a bit so that I can continue to get my bonus. This happened actually with the Wonder Woman movie, where DC Warner Brothers, where they went and they paid almost everybody for their movies that are now being streamed live, direct, same day on HBO Max. And, you know, that's how they were able to get over it. There are some people who definitely fought back regarding that. And there was some negotiations for some of the movies, AKA Dune. But in general, most of them were paid off, felt okay. And that's one of the things that Warner Brothers were able to do. But Disney, according to Scarlett Johansson, all she heard was air. There was nothing. And so they went through with the premiere access. And even though she did make $20 million, she said she lost out on a further $50 million if it had gone only by box office. So this is the thing here. Now there's mud being slung on both sides. I'm here with the boys to break it down. So here, Cal, Petey, I'm going to bring it over to my boy, Petey. Yo, what's your thoughts on this stuff?
Well, I mean, this is the deal. When you've been a part of something for a very long time, you're expecting there's money on the table. Yes, we have obviously the COVID nightmare, but people definitely they still have to work out that the talent gets the money and get the money or get something of the money. The problem is now it's going legal, and some of the stuff that Disney's putting out is saying, oh, this is callous as far as the the stuff of the COVID nightmare. So it's one of those things where you just have to do what they did, as you just said with Warner Brothers. You got to pay these people because you're having a bunch of lawsuits coming out where it's like, and it's, Disney has been in the past quick to sue where things haven't been right. So, I mean, they're not obviously going to get the large amount, but this is just really to secure, some of the money. And then at the same time, it's at the end, it's at the end of the deal. So there's no sort of threat of saying, all right, let's just get rid of her and replace her with somebody, because this is possibly the end of her entire deal. So this will be, making sure that she has some money coming in with the actual release. So it's less than what she was expected. So it's kind of, and Disney is kind of, it's in a bad place because they've also had, there's been a nightmare at the parks I think in Florida. They're talking about it being sort of a hotbed again. So it's I know they need money. That's why they're just doing whatever they can to try to make something. So they obviously wouldn't want to give someone else some back end money when they're like, oh, let's need to go to us because we don't have our parks. But yeah, she has to secure some money. She has to fight a little. And this is more of a time where you can, you can't, usually if an actor would do this, they basically would be out of the business by suing. And now you can at least fight for your money, because a lot of people struggle with the net points and gross points and the gross net point, that sort of thing, where they don't never see money. There's a ton of movies that they're waiting for the back end money, and they say the movie never made money. We're at the rap party. We're like, I think it was a house party where they turned the register. I'm like, we're in profits. And the next thing you know, you go into court and they're like, the movie House Party hasn't made any money yet. We're still waiting. Like they still have to pay back a lot of things. There's marketing. There's a lot of stuff going on, and you're just like, you don't have the gross points and the net points. I think the problem is the gross net, the net points don't really yield something. The gross points kind of yield something. But it seems like she had a good deal that she was expecting to make money, and then through this COVID nightmare, now it's like, hey, we need to make money that we can, and it's not with Scarlett Johansson's approval. So you got to sue. That's what it is.
Hey, what's your take on this, Cal?
Well, if anybody wants to say that she's slinging mud or anything of that nature, you have to remember that Scarlett Johansson actually has another picture in the works with Disney. So that relationship is not going anywhere. So people are like, oh, she's cool with Feige, but she hates Disney. Like, no, 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 that's probably not the case. And this is going to be a very good test suit for what's going to be coming down the pike, because this isn't the first suit that I've heard of. This is one that gotten the most noise. Bill Nye the Science Guy was after Disney, because the whole thing with streaming changes a lot of what the contracts used to be. Because originally it was like, okay, you do a show or you do a movie, then you were trying to work out whatever residuals you were going to get for the play of this movie someplace else on a channel, or if it went into syndication, yada, yada, yada. But once you have your own streaming service, that changes the dynamic, because usually what they would do is they would sell the movie to other entities, television, even Netflix at that point. Now you got your own thing. And we're like, well, I already paid you. I already paid you to do the movie. I own the movie, and this is my streaming service. So I don't really need to give you anything else. So these guys definitely have to start, putting something in to make certain, well, I don't want to get aced out where, this is just going to be in perpetuity over here and I'm not getting any money for it. So that has to be renegotiated. But then it was people who like PD said, they got a part of the gate. Like, I don't want a salary, give me a part of the gate, because usually you made better money that way. But of course, if it's like, well, we're going to split it 50% box office, 50% streaming or worse, then, that also cuts into the money at the same portion. It'll probably get settled. I don't think it'll, because I don't think either one of them really wants to go that forward to see what a judge has to say. Because if it's legally, the judge is going to look at the contract. And if the contract's being fulfilled, that's pretty much going to be the end of it. So if, it's like, look, are you getting money? Are you getting a part of the box office? Okay, does it say anything in the contract that they can't do these particular things? Because that's what happened with Bill Nye. Bill Nye was like, no, you guys are streaming me on Disney and I'm not getting a cut of that. And they were like, well, they looked at the contracts and it's like, well, no, you're supposed to get this and DVDs and anything on TV, but it doesn't say anything about streaming. So that has to be renegotiated. You can't just get money for that at the end of the day. And so he's back, he definitely would have to go back and approach them to see about getting any of that money. But it's all new ground. It's very fertile ground too. But it's all new ground. I think Emily Blunt and was John Krasinski. Yeah, they were the same thing. They were getting ready to sue as well. They're like, no, but again, these are contracts for the old model before. Streaming was there before we had COVID, but nothing like what it is now. They really, put a lot of muscle into that at the end of the day, and it changes that dynamic. This is not me, okay, you did 6 seasons of a TV show, and now I'm going to sell it to TBS. No, you did 6 seasons of a TV show on the Disney Channel, and now I'm streaming it on right over here. And that cuts a lot of people out of the traditional contractual money that they might actually get. But, again, I can't see it going to court, because I can't see a judge like, well, how much money were you supposed to get? Well, we were supposed to get like $50 million. Like, based on what? You got 20 million. You're telling me there's another 50? Based on what? How many seats you can make this particular prediction? They're not going to be able to necessarily do that one in court. So, I said they'll probably settle it. She'll, get a percentage. It'll be, of course, non-disclosure agreement. And then they'll just have to work out these sort of contracts. The streaming part is going to have to be addressed, in future contracts.
Yeah, I think we're all in agreement with that. I think that it's pretty obvious that Disney is not keeping up to what they're supposed to. Especially that, the fact that you see that she said that their lawyers actually reached out to them and Disney didn't give them any play. But I think this is a whole new thing. And then I think probably one of the most outlandish things to come out is that they revealed their salary, $20 million. This is something that the studios usually keep pretty close, because now, she's one of the top, she's on the Avenger team, so what those guys are now theoretically should all be making. Anyone else who's coming up is going to say, hey, I want at least that to start. And I want a back end just like she had. This is going to change the whole negotiating flavor for a lot of people. It seems it's just something out of character. I think when Bob Iger was in charge, who was a chairman and everything, I don't know if they would have come out quite as hardcore like that. Iger seemed to be more of a deal maker. But you have the new boss, I think it's Bob Chapek. And he's the one running it. He's
right. This is all new territory. You got the hardball, and you could be giving up a lot.
Sorry, say that again.
I said this is. I've never known Disney not to do anything but play hard.
Yeah.
At the end of the day. But I think Disney is living up to their contractual agreement. They're doing that at the end of the day. They released the movie. She's getting paid. She's still getting a percentage of the gate. And that hasn't changed. They're saying, well, no, because you did this, this is lessening this. Well, prove it at the end of the day. You have a hard time proving that one.
No, I think it's easy to prove because you're going to say, hey, other companies are doing this. This is a pandemic, an extraordinary situation. So what other companies are doing?
But it has nothing to do with the contract that she has with Disney. Disney just has to fulfill their contractual obligations. They don't got to follow what another company's doing.
Right, but what's going to happen is that they're going to take this to court. If they win, which I don't think Disney's going to win, because I think they're going to be able to show that, hey, they came out, they tried to negotiate with Disney, renegotiate the stuff.
That's not going to be banned in court.
But what's going to end up happening? You're going to see that there was a precedent set with Warner, a precedent set with New Line, who does
a legal precedent.
I'm saying that, but if you have a precedent in the industry, people will follow.
No. You need a legal precedent because they're talking about a contract. They're not talking about, hey, like a Good Samaritan law or something of that nature. And you went opposed to that. Whatever these companies do, they do. You have a contract with Scarlett Johansson. Is that contract being honored? That's what they're just going to ask. If the contract is being honored, what is she going to do?
She's going to say the contract should have been honored by them waiting a little longer to release it, as opposed to releasing on both Premier Access and that. That's what she's saying. She's saying by doing it on Premier Access, you cannibalize my sales. So the remedy for that situation would have been.
If you can prove that your sales were cannibalized, you can prove definitively that your sales were cannibalized to the tune of $50 million, which we know it isn't. Go right ahead. Otherwise, you're not going to like the result you're going to get.
You're seeing like movies such as Fast 9. I think it's 9 that they have out. The movies such as they did not go to theaters directly, and did not go to streaming directly, such as the one Quiet Place. That they're showing that if you would have done that, the possibility the box office could have been better. But because you did the streaming,
to the tune of $50 million.
Well, that's where they're going to go over the difference. She's saying the key thing here is that they did not do that. The $50 million is negotiating that they're gonna go on. Of course, she's gonna go. Her lawyer's gonna go for as high as possible, and Disney's gonna go for.
And the judge is gonna ask.
And they're gonna make
a
some type of determination somewhere in the middle. That's what's probably gonna end up happening.
Right. But the judge is gonna look at the contract, say, look, was the contract honored? Is there anything in the contract saying that this is not supposed to happen?
Well, we also have there's other precedents, not just saying Wonder Woman. Is also as far as a company who created it, then putting it on their own service, like X, using the what's that thing, the X-Files, that sort of thing, and saying there's no presence, saying, hey, we sort of own it, but at the same time, the sale of it, that's what Nolan, that sort of thing, is like cutting that part of the business out will come into play, because that's what basically, it took a while, but the company got the money, and he had nowhere, to go with us. All of the same with what's that thing? I think it first started with what's those guys? In Living Color. So it's like this is something that the companies, that is the loophole. Not really, because obviously they were able to smack them down. But it's like, hey, this is what we're going to try to do. And since the only time I think originally the DVD kind of sales came when they were trying to push up their thing and say, hey, this thing is working out. Look at the DVD sales, even though we can't account for the actual viewing. It's like, bang. So that's what kind of gave them who's that guy? Chappelle money for it. But yeah, it's the thing of, there's things in line for, for it to be talked out and make a sort of a settlement, because there's a lot of things where someone just say, hey, we kind of own it. We can just put it on our thing. And that's not how the business sort of works. The business works of you sort of selling it, saying, here, this is the same, like Seinfeld, you go to these new services and they say it makes another, sell.
So you see what happened is you're changing what the model was. So that's where people get a little out. And this here, clearly the model has changed from what they're doing.
Yeah, they're going to get away with it.
There's a great thing where you have Legendary Pictures, which owned the Godzilla versus the King Kong versus Godzilla, where HBO is like, yo, we're going to put it on streaming. And they're like, hold on, if you don't want to release it as a movie theater, you know what you need to do? just sell the movie. And they were like, they were lining up bidders, Netflix and Amazon, just sell it. And they were getting offers for over $200 million for a movie. So Warner Brothers, they made a deal, they paid them off, whatever they thought they would do. And they did release it in theaters, but they also did the HBO Max. And I think this is where the whole thing with Black Widow goes. But I mean, I think probably going back, probably the most, like, again, I think to me, you've had a pretty fractious relationship with Marvel for a point of view, because when she started, remember, she wanted to do a female-led superhero movie, and they thought that, I think it was Permulator was like, nah, we're not doing it. We don't think there's a market for that stuff. And so she goes out and she does Lucy, right? It makes $500 million. I mean, it made a lot of money for the company. I think there's Europa Films or something like that. They do a hell of a job with that. And she's like, yo, look, I'm not bankable. I did movie on my own, small budget, bam, made $500 million. And so they're like, all right, we're going to do something. But her project kept on being pushed further and further back. And they're like, then Wonder Woman comes out, the first superhero movie, even though she was pushing for it before, and they have unknowns such as Gal Gadot, who becomes a big hit, movie makes $1 billion. She's like, yo, what? And then, again, she's trying to get her movie out, and what do? They put Captain Marvel, again, ahead of her, even though she started the whole project from before. So you have kind of that bad blood happening there, and I wouldn't say bad blood, but
that doesn't have any bearing on what's going to be decided or how she's going to be able to negotiate this. Not any of this, but that's all juicy stuff for juicy stuff, to talk about, positive about it. But
sorry, you're breaking up. Can you hear him, Petey?
You were breaking up.
Yeah, you're breaking up, bro.
Yeah, I'm saying that has no bearing on the contract, though.
The only thing is that it would be if Marvel if Disney was kind of playing it straight, then it would be one thing. But the idea that they immediately go to mudslinging is kind of
exactly crazy.
That's the problem. Yes, of course, but they're saying, hey, let's just kind of try to let's throw mud on our name first instead of saying, hey, we're well within our agreement. We're going to go in there because they don't want to say that, and that'll bring the wolves out. It'll be everyone is saying what
coming out. I mean, look. Another point someone has made is that would they have done the same thing with a male, such as like Iron Man?
Oh, come on! Are you really going to make this a gender thing now?
I'm just there. Bro, can you let me finish any sentence before jumping in? If you want to talk, I'll give you a chance to talk, and then let me finish the point. Okay, so that's what I'm trying to say. Where they're saying they haven't done that exactly with the other guys. They are going to pay whatever you think. Iron Man made like almost over $100 million in the back end that he made with his last movie, and going forward, would they have done the same thing with her? And they feel that she's not being treated the same as someone else would have been in the same situation. Are they doing the same thing to our boy The Rock? Will he be getting his what he should have gotten, like a front end? Did they pay him something for the Jungle Cruise, which will be the last movie on Premier Access? So those are the type of things that are going to come up in the case if it ever goes to it. It should never have gone to that, and I think that possibly under Iger probably wouldn't have happened.
Well, I have a comment to that, but Cal, did you have a response to that before I chime in?
No, go right ahead.
I would disagree in one extent of saying if at some point I know the salaries, because obviously Don Cheadle's making way less than Terrence Howard, get into that 20 million mark, and it doesn't sound like it's a 20 million pay or play, but 20 million is what Denzel gets for a movie, a pay or play. Kevin Spacey, you got, so that's the top rate. That's for someone who has been a headliner. So it's like if we're looking at the rate that she got, at least for this movie, that is the top. That is one of the top rates you can get. Like obviously, Robert Downey Jr. could negotiate for more than that. I'm not sure what his deal was, but it is a top rate. So we're not looking at the other stuff that you were saying is definitely on point as far as them delaying the movie, but we have to take in the fact that the rate is the rate. That 20 million is not anything.
We get the rate, but you think the rate is part of the rate of hers is the rate that she got plus the back end, and it's part of the whole thing.
That's the basic rate. I'm saying that from the front of it, saying that's a deal. I'm not. You're right about that. That's what we're talking about the back end is what the issue is. But as far as her being treated equally up to whatever it was before that, when we got here to her solo film, $20 million is a decent
Yeah,
amount.
no one's denying that.
The deal itself sounds great, so it's not. I don't think a woman thing up until that point. When you get to your solo film, if we look at the deal itself, it sounds like a good deal. 20 million and then money on the back end. It's not a. The delay part of it is kind of what killed, and that's what both Warner and Disney did to some of their things. Like, hey, let's kind of wait for this when they had some of these things done well before this, where they could have put it out. And it's kind of.
Would anybody have gone out in the middle of the pandemic last year? I don't know. I
Did they finish before then? No. Could they want to do reshoots and stuff like that? I don't know.
I don't know if they could have done it. But with her, it was like, why didn't we do this before Captain Marvel? Why didn't we? So I guarantee you, if it goes, it's going to get pretty bad. It's going to be a lot of mudslinging going back and forth. The sooner they can resolve it, the better for everybody all around. They already basically, as you can see, replaced her character with Yelena Belova already, right?
I'm not buying. We're going too far. Was that the sister? I'm not buying into her as another. I'm not doing any Young Avengers talk. We're not doing none of that.
It doesn't matter whether you want to do it or not. They already set up those characters. They're already setting up those characters, whether you like it or not.
Bring back the Red Skull. Bring back the regular Captain America. Bring them all. You want to retire one? We didn't get enough of them solo, so I ain't buying into it. You ain't getting me to sign off on this.
I'm not getting you to sign. I'm just saying it's irrelevant because they're doing it. They're setting it up. Whether they do it or not. So guys.
I'm not care.
So guys, anything further on this? Are we other than what Emma Stone is interested in also doing?
I'm surprised. I know your business sense. Your business sense is better than mine, so I'm surprised you're dragging it where you're gonna try to do the hearts and flowers stuff. Make it about gender, make it about, oh, look at all this stuff and how you did me wrong, did me this. You're not suing them. You're not suing them because, hey, you treated me poorly. You're suing them because you're saying this is a breach of contract. They're gonna look at the contract. If that contract was executed, that's pretty much the end of it. Now, again, I think they'll settle before it gets there, but they should be taking the lead and looking how Disney's playing this. And look, we will pull out the knives if we got to fight you over this, because it's not just her. If they got to come over here and tighten this up, they got to go put out money for her and a whole bunch of other people. Say, oh, look, I want to sue over Cruella. So they're gonna play the, they are gonna play hardball on this, but. For me, I'm just looking. What was the contract? Was that contract executed? From what I'm reading, yes. She's just not happy with the numbers. She's just not happy with the numbers on it. There's no contract.
Right, but there's also like look. So here you're trying to say there's also some self-dealing when you think about it. So who benefits by it goes on Disney Plus. If she doesn't get the money on that, who gets it? The execs gets it, because in that situation, the execs, the company, that's a different division. They get all that money. Normally, they would share some of that money with the studio, not the studios, the movie theaters, and they would share some of that movies with the actors or whoever has back end deals. But because you don't have that same thing in streaming, they get it all, right? And so whoever makes the numbers for streaming, those guys, the execs in charge of that, they make the money. They get the bonuses based on that. So when you're talking about, when you have, hey, you know what, we're pushing over to another one of our divisions, and this is something that's happening in other businesses. We're pushing this over to one of our other divisions to help prop it up or make it better or whatever. And of course, who benefits from that? Does she benefit from that? No, she benefits only from the box office, not from that. And if she's saying that this, by then put it on streaming, it helped to depress the numbers that she had. It was a big number. She had, normally when she came out, I think she had the biggest box office come out for.
I don't see how you make that argument though. You still have a situation where people cannot come out to movie theaters and to make the argument that, well, this is what depressed it at the end of the day, or make the argument that the company doesn't have the right to manipulate film as they see fit to try to make money on it. It's a contract situation. They already had a nice test case with Bill Nye, and they said, no, you can go back and try to renegotiate, but you're not getting any money based on that argument. It was pretty much along the lines with the same thing. They said, no, you can get DVDs, you get any type of reruns here. They can't play it on YouTube for free, but the streaming stuff is not part of your agreement. You got to go back and take care of it. Hers is in the same line. Unless there's something in that contract that they did not execute. Okay, they can say, well, you only released it in 50 theaters when you could have released it in 100, and that can be definitively stated. Otherwise, they can release it. They can do pretty much what they want with it so long as they honor the terms of their contract, which is right now it looks.
How?
Yeah, you stopped. It cut off.
Did it cut off or did I just stop? I wasn't talking anymore.
Kind of like the N word. We didn't get the N possibly, but I mean, I guess we got the gist of it.
Yeah, I'm just looking at this. Did they fulfill? For me, I'm looking at the argument. Take all the mud out of it. Take all the backstory, which your narrative. The police are off like a victim, and just look at the situation. What's the contract? You're supposed to get the big argument that I'm hearing. You're supposed to get a part of the gate. Okay, you're saying, well, that gate wasn't big enough because of X, Y, and Z. Okay, but I don't have to guarantee a gate. Okay, that's one. Two, I don't have to. I can stream this movie if I want to. There's nothing saying that I can't do such. If I had opened it up and doubled the amount of theaters and still kept the streaming, okay, as what you're pretty much saying, as long as you make the money that you want, if you don't make the money that you want, I can't do what it is that I want to do. So you got to make certain that I make the $70 million I was expecting, or else this movie shouldn't be playing. It boils down to whatever the contract was. Was the movie released in theaters? Yes. Was it released in an ample amount of theaters? The situation is, again, yes. Does the contract say you can't stream? Doesn't say that you can't stream. He's still receiving a residual amount of money based on the theaters that it was playing in. Yes. Has she already received the 20 million she was supposed to get? Yes. So now you're coming in. This isn't going to be a jury case where you're going to do hearts and flowers. You're going to come before a judge, and it's going to be hard on that contract. So more than likely, it's not going to get to court for that. But I'm just, but Disney coming over here and saying, yeah, we're going to come over and do this stuff. It's like, no, we're going to fight this one out, because they're not. If they decide to come over here and do Warner Brothers with her, they got a whole bunch of people who are ready to do the same thing. So yeah, they'll fight with her. And Disney is known for playing hardball. They're also known for winning at the end of the day. You don't hear them doing it.
Yeah, I hear what you're saying, but I think that you're totally wrong on your assessment of that. I think they are, like you said, I agree with you where they're going to, at the end, it's going to probably be negotiating. That means she's going to get money based on what she thought she should have gotten, or where they thought it would have been if it wasn't depressed. Yeah, all the news, all the box office people who follow it say, yeah, because they put it on Premier Access, it did probably depress the box office. The box office could have been bigger. This is not me. This is what people are saying who have done box office. They're also saying in terms of the money, you have precedent where you have Warner Brothers done it, New Line has done it. Disney's the only holdout. It's like, hey, we don't have to do it because we don't want to do it. I think if they don't do it, what's going to end up happening is you're going to have talent who are going to say, yo, this guy's, I don't know if I'm going to do Disney like this. They may not be able to attract. But hey, you know what? Like I said before, are they going to do the same thing with The Rock? Or are they going to make a deal? Was it just a ScarJo thing? So we'll see how that plays out and what information she has versus what information they have. But the very fact that she came out beforehand, hey, we think that the market, our contract was based on a standard market where everything is the same. And now you're saying you're going to possibly do it on Premier Access. That in and of itself changes the game of the market. And that's what the judge is going to look at. He's going to say, okay, wait a second. So you guys have this agreement already set up in a standard thing. Now things have changed. Has it changed enough? That's where the question is going to be. And I think some judges are going to be, hey, you know what? I think it did change enough for you to also, they went proactively to talk to you about, hey, what can be? And you just pushed it aside and didn't even attempt to communicate. So we're different. We disagree. And so we'll see what's going to happen. But she's going to get money. I guarantee that,
She already got money. She's still getting money.
She's going to get the more money that she was thought that she was going to get for the film. That's what I think.
Hope it's worth it.
So Petey, anything on this? Are we wrapping this up?
I think we're wrapping it up. There's not much else to bring up on this. Ultimately, that's why you're seeing a lot of these cases come up, and it's there's something they had to figure out. They figured it out. Well, it's not that's totally figured out for music, but you see the things come into play so people can get money for these streaming sort of things. So it has to be dealt with in these cases, not in sort of a new case. It's dealt with in the old contracts and the different, as we've seen in all the TV, that sort of stuff. It all deals with in the old contract. So, we'll see how it goes, what happens. And we won't know the number of anything anyway. So,
yeah, I mean, well, Disney has come out and actually said they've made like $60 million in Premier Access sales.
But they're not going to tell us what the settlement is. That's what I'm saying.
No, the settlement. But I'm just saying, in terms of the Premier Access sales, that's like $120 million or more, because they would have had to share the box office 50-50 with the movie companies.
that's the other thing. Because these guys are saying, well, look, man, we would do like $50 million out of that. I'm like, where are you getting that number?
Well, that's Disney. Disney said that.
That she would have made $50 million? Scarlett Johansson?
No, where she's basing everything. I guarantee you that's probably a high number. But I'm saying in terms of the Disney Premier Access, where people were paying $30. Disney released this information, and the stock price goes up because the stockholders are like, "Yeah, baby, they're making some really money. They don't have to share the $60 million with anybody, or share very little relative to what they would have to have shared with the theater companies." So I think that's one of our arguments is like, by doing it this way, the people are benefiting, the executives and the shareholders, not necessarily her who would have done it. So, I mean, it's going to be an interesting fight. I love to read about it, see what the legalese, what's going on in the legal community, but I have a strong feeling that she's going to get something.
All right. So
Spin rack.
Out.